She stared at the tree branches and tried to remember what had happened after that. The memories started to come back. Memories of staggering into the apartment and kissing Mike by the door. Memories of him taking her hands and leading her into the bedroom. Memories of him undressing her. She closed her eyes and groaned. This was not what she did. She did not go home with men she'd just met and have sex with them, however drunk she got. But had they had sex? The seed of a memory formed, then coalesced into something firmer, into her asking him if he had a condom.
"Are you sure?"
he said.
"Sure you want to do this? We don't have to."
She was sure. Then, at least, she was sure. Not now, though. Now she was sure only that she wished she'd said, "No, let's wait." Or, "Maybe I should go. My friends will be missing me." But he'd shaken his head, kissed her, and said,
"I think you've had a bit too much to drink. Let's see if you still feel the same way in the morning."
She'd bridled and mumbled that she was fine, thank you very much. But the truth was, she wasn't fine. She was hammered, and thank God he hadn't taken advantage of that. And how had she got so drunk? She didn't remember having that much. Wine at dinner, then gin and tonics in the nightclub, after which her memory got hazy. They were pretty liberal with the measures here. She'd watched them sloshing the gin into the glass. That must be what had happened. Well, she was going to have to be careful for the rest of the holiday. This could not happen again. The rest of the holiday. Right then, she didn't want it. Didn't want to stay here for another 2 nights. They'd arrived 5 days ago, her and May and Gemma, on a week away to take her mind off the breakup with Phil, the man she'd been sure she was destined to marry, until she'd realised that maybe she wasn't destined to marry him after all, so she decided to end it. A decision which she hadn't been sure about when she took it, and which seemed even less like a good idea now, as she lay here, mouth dry and head throbbing, having nearly ended up on the wrong end of a one-night stand, a one-night stand that would have been her first ever, had the man she'd thrown herself at not been, thankfully, enough of a gentleman to turn her down. She'd made Phil wait a month before she slept with him. That was more her speed, and it had been well worth the wait. More than worth it. He was the first and, still, only man she had ever had sex with. Her high school boyfriend. They'd stayed together all through the university years, him at the University of the West of England in Bristol, her at Durham, which were 2 places about as far apart as you could get in England. A true long-distance relationship, a true test of their devotion. Then they'd moved back to their hometown, back to the village of Stockton Heath, where they'd rented a house together, and set off on the final leg of their journey to marriage and kids. Until she decided that she wasn't ready. That she needed to live a little before settling down. She comforted herself that she could always go back to him if she needed to. That made the decision a bit easier, although not for him. He hadn't taken the breakup all that well. Truth be told, he'd taken it very, very badly. He called her early in the morning before work, and late at night, drunk in his friend Andy's flat where he was living until he sorted out something permanent, or from outside some nightclub, or, once, from the bathroom in the house of a girl he'd gone home with. He'd told her he'd moved on, found someone else. "Why are you calling me from her bathroom at 2 a.m. then?" she'd said, aware that it was mean to mock him, but it was the middle of the night, and she was tired and frustrated.
"Fuck you,"
he'd replied, his voice wavering as though he was on the verge of tears.
"Just fuck you, Kate."
So yes, it was fair to say he hadn't taken it very well, which was part of the reason she'd come away. At home, he was a constant presence.